tell me about that school because it was separate, okay? Tell me about the school.
Well, it was in walking distance of all of us children.
Just start saying the school was in.
And started school there in the first grade. And then we went up to through the seventh grade. It's just had seven grades. And I don't know what else do you want to know. We had recess, about 10 o'clock. Then we'd have lunch, and then we'd have another time to play in the afternoons and get out at 3 o'clock.
I want you to start over and say, well, we had a school in East Noonan, but it only went up to the 7th grade, and then we had to go to high school. I had to walk 2.5 miles.
That's right.
Okay, could you say that?
We had a school at East Noonan that went through the 7th grade. And after you got out of the 7th grade, you had to go to Noonan's to high school. And we always had to walk 2.5 miles to school then, to the high school. And is that all you want me to say?
Mm-hmm. But you were telling about having fun.
Oh, we had lots of fun. We had you're talking about the recess? We'd have
as young girls.
In the mill.
In the mill.
Oh, yeah, at the mill.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, we have a lot of fun at the plant. They'd let us go out and buy us cold drink at the store and whatever we wanted to eat, and come back and eat it and sit down and eat. And then we'd get up and go to work, back on the job. And that would be kind of a recess for us. And then at lunch, we'd all go home for lunch and stay an hour.
People then dip snuff.
I didn't dip in snuff. Some of them might have, but I didn't.
They get them a toothbrush and rub the teeth and put the snuff in that.
That's one thing I didn't do.
Put a spit tune down at the end.
They did have cuspidors, in the plant at times, after a certain length of time, but they used the floor to start with, but then they soon put the cuspidors in there.
You remember any of the songs you sang? Did you sing in the mill?
Oh, yes, we'd sing. But I can't.
And 1st of October, they used to have the second harp singing in Noonan, and Mildred used to sing that.
He wants to know in the mill, though, about singing in the mill. We just sing any kind of song we knew, church song, I guess. But that's all I can remember singing is church songs.
Do you still have the Sacred Harp sings around here?
No, they don't. Not that I know of. They used to have it at the courthouse, but they'd come from all around in neighboring cities, to sing, but they don't have it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you enjoyed having this break time for lunch.
Yeah, after we went to high school, we just had break time at lunchtime, in the middle of the day.
In the mill, you
Yeah.
had a break time.
That's right.
So could you tell me about that and then compare it to later on when you went to 8 hours?
I can't remember
You're
that
talking about
break
at work
time.
now.
I thought we had to work till...
We did have break time at Maddie at
We
lunchtime to start with. We went home for lunch. I'd run home. I could just run like a deer, and we'd run home to eat lunch and eat it real fast and then come back in an hour's time.
When did you start working straight 8 hours without a break?
When Roosevelt took over as president.
Could you tell us about that?
We were mighty happy about that. We started work at 8 o'clock, and we'd have a little lunch break, and then we'd work till 4. And we had, it was not as hard work. We didn't have to work as hard to make production.
Well,
And
I
we
used
got
to
more
work
pay.
till 11 o'clock on Saturday. And I'm going to tell y'all this. I worked hard that morning. They let us off at 11 o'clock. I went on home, and my mother, she always expected me to come in and talk and tell her something that we did. But I was so tired. And so I was sitting there. Now, Mama didn't cuss. She just did this. There was a man was carrying somebody a lunch over
Oh,
there.
Maddie, don't tell that.
I'm going to tell it. You
That
don't
was
have to
ugly,
put
though.
it in there. You can spoil it out. She says, well, he's going to walk as big as Mr. Anybody if he does tear that damn ass. And I looked over there and I thought, Lord of mercy, I've never heard her say that before in my life. She says, now, your mom didn't mean nothing by that. Said, you just look so sad. And said, I just want to make you smile. But the man he had his market basket, and I mean, he was going. He had to get there.
He had a jar of coffee in his hip pocket, you know. And Mama just wanted to say something like that to make us laugh.
But she said it. She thought that was funny.
Did you people, you're working so long, but did you do anything like quilting or sewing, that kind of thing?
After supper,
Yes, we did.
Talk about that.
We didn't have tissues like we have today. We had handkerchiefs, and we'd use them on the weekend. And then Monday night, that's what we did. We washed all of our handkerchiefs out and ironed them, and our stockings. We'd wash them what we could wear on the weekend, and we'd get all them washed on Monday night. That was our job on Monday night. To do that, wash handkerchiefs.
But we did
and our
quilt
stocking.
when we get home. Mom would have a quilt in the frames, and we did help quilt. We usually had a room we could leave it up, you know, just not have to hang it up. We just leave it propped up on the chairs, and we quilted all right.
Talk about your singing. I'm interested in the Sacred Harp stuff.
Well, they just a crowd of people would gather, you know, and different ones sang different notes, I guess you'd call it. What do you call that? Different. Some sang alto and some sang soprano and treble and just any kind of voice that you could sing, and we would get up and direct the singing. Have that big book in our hand. It was a large book, you know, larger than most song books. And we would direct it, and everybody take their parts, you know, and sing, and it was real pretty. They didn't have music. They just sound the chords, you know. Somebody knew music real well would sound the chord.
Could you sing any of that now?
I'm afraid I couldn't. No, I wouldn't try now.
well, she sings in the choir now.
I sing in a choir, but I don't sing the notes, you know, like I did then. We're having a concert Sunday night. I'm in the concert.
Was the room where you work loud?
What?
I imagine the room where you were working in the mill was pretty loud.
Oh, yes. It was so loud it almost deafened me. I think that's why my hearing is bad like it is. Because we heard those loud noises, you know, the machinery.
Well, when Mount Vernon taken over, they did fit us in earplugs, and so we had to wear those during the time we worked for them.
I never did wear any earplugs, so I think that's why my hearing is like it is.
Did you ever have any trouble with breathing, or did anybody have that kind of trouble?
Yes, asthma, where there's a lot of lint.
But we never did have any.
We didn't have the trouble,
like
but a lot
that.
of people did.
Do you know about people who've had that kind of trouble?
Well, I can't remember any of them names right now. No, I can't remember the names, but they did have that trouble. I can remember that.
we when we were in North Carolina, they had something called the Brown Lung Association. Tried to get help for people who'd had trouble in the
We
mills.
never did have anything like that.
Nothing like that here. Okay, Judy.
Last week you were telling us some about Etta May and her father,
Oh,
about the Zimmermans.
about Mr.
Could you
Zimmerman?
tell us about the Zimmermans?
Well, there was a large family of the Zimmermans, just like there were of us, you know. Mr. Zimmerman, he never did work at the plant that I remember, but he would plow, you know, the fields around the village, and he would plow. He always wore a collar and tie, and he'd go barefoot, you know, when he was plowing, and that's all what I remember about him.
He liked to read.
Yeah, he read a lot with the Tom Watson. He read the Tom Watson paper, and he'd go to the depot. We had a little shelter up there at the railroad track that we'd stand there to catch the train. You'd have to wave it down with a handkerchief, you know, and he would let the train would go by, you know, and him still reading the paper. He'd be going to town, and then he'd wonder, well, where's the train, you know, and he'd discover that it had gone on.
You told us he used to come to read at your house.
Oh, he did. He read at our home. He'd come to read after supper, you know, the Tom Watson paper. And we'd all get sleepy, and we had to get up at 6 o'clock to go to work. And he didn't work, you know, and we'd all go to bed and leave him reading the paper. And he discovered we'd all gone to bed, and then he'd get up and go home. But he'd come to pay us a visit and read the paper, you know, to us. We didn't have a daily paper. He just got that one through the mail, I think, and he enjoyed it so much. He read it to everybody that come along.
Tell us about the Tom Watson paper.
I never did know too much about the paper. I know it must have been very interesting. He wouldn't have read it like he did. He read that paper religiously. But I don't know what was in it. I can't remember.
Do you remember any of the things in it?
No, I don't remember anything about it. I remember him reading the paper lots, but I never did know anything about
I
it.
guess
too
it was
much.
news of government news and any kind of news that's in the paper today. It was probably in that paper, but it didn't happen as often as it does now. You know what I mean? What was happening then, it just happened maybe once a year or once every 6 months, but now it happens every day, you know.
Do you remember the Tom Watson paper? What was in it?
Well, not really. It had a lot of maybe recipes in it on how to do things, you know, to improve things. But that's about all I remember.
You don't remember its politics?
Politics
Oh,
is
yeah,
the main.
they had the
It had
politics in
politics.
there.
That's what
Vote
Mrs.
for
Zimmerman wanted to
so-and-so
read,
and-
you know, was the politics. I think he was pretty smart fella to understand all of that, you know, what he was reading. And he enjoyed it, so I think that it must have been an interesting paper and give you a lot of information.
It kind of made you think of the Market Bulletin now. Something like that.
Did you take the Noonan paper?
No, we didn't have the Newman paper back then. We just had the Atlanta Journal and Georgian. The Georgian paper's what we always bought. They bring it to the house every day.
I knew a fellow who wrote for the Georgian, Tarleton Collier.
Yeah,
He was a columnist.
yeah.
You probably read him, but you don't remember.
I don't remember that
Yeah.
name.
You told me last week that you had enough time when you were working 11 hours to sit together outside.
Oh yes.
Could you tell
at
me that again?
lunchtime.
Was that at lunchtime?
At lunchtime, we would sit together. I think that was when.
You mentioned to me that you could sit in a group and you could talk and all, and then one of you could run back to a frame and do.
Oh yeah.
Should
Well.
go check on the frames and then come back.
Oh yes, it would be. The work would not be fast. You know, it was not very fast work like it was later years. and we get all the machines running, you know, with the bobbins filled up, and start them off, and they'd run, and then we go sit down and have a chat with a few friends, and then watch, you know, to see if the ends had broken back, and if they had, we'd run and tie that up, and start it up again, and go back and sit down and chat with the crowd. But we enjoyed
But
it.
after this Vito business come in,
You didn't have
they
time.
didn't have, if they thought you had time to run over there and see about the other fellow's job, it just increase you a little bit more to do.
Do you think that had anything to do with the strike?
Yeah, they had to do a little bit more on the job. If
That
they,
was after the strike. They
oh,
started
well,
that
yeah.
veto
Yeah,
system.
they seen her, somebody sitting around, well, they'd check on them because they didn't need to sit around, they need to work.
I guess that when they raised the pay, they wanted us to work harder, you know, because they wanted to get all they could out of the job, and they'd make more money out of what we were doing, making production.
Now, I want each of you to tell me how long you worked in the mill and when you stopped.
I worked, let me think a minute. I went to work at 16, and then I married at 30. So that was about how many years? 15? No, let's see. 14 years. 14 years.
And then did you work afterwards?
No, I never did work anymore.
And
I
what
married and moved here at this house, and I've been here ever since.
What about you?
Well, I went to work when I was, I guess, about, I'd say 15 years old. And I worked till I was 75 years old and retired. Worked in the plant, the same plant, of course, is different companies I worked for, but I worked 50 years in that same plant.
When you retired, what did you get?
You mean what pay that I got? Well, I made pretty good. I made around $200 a week. Of course, they taken out tax on that, but I guess I made around that when I retired.
And did you get a pension or anything?
Well, I didn't get a pension. They had they had a little saving. I don't remember exactly what they called it. But when I retired, I got all that in a lump sum, which it was about $700 that I got. So, but I didn't get a pension, you know, every month. I got that in a lump sum.
And what about you?
Well, I believe they must have taken out each week. Seemed to me like they took out a little bit and saved it for you till you got old enough to quit.
Well, how much did you
You
have
started
accumulated?
working when you were...
Oh, in East Newnan
Yeah.
when I was 14 years and a half old.
And you worked?
Till I got married. I
Well,
was
you worked-
27.
You worked after then, too. How many years did you
Well,
work
I
in
didn't
the
work
plant?
at East Newnan. I moved.
I know, but in LaGrange, how many
Yeah.
years did you work in all?
I lived down there 40 years, so I don't know how long it was. I'd have to get me a pencil and paper.
40, and then,
When I quit, I was 62.
you worked 40 years down there. Is that
Yep.
right?
At the spinning plant. I
And
run winders a while, and then I went to the sewing room. I was sort of improving a little bit. You know, went sort of dressed up in the sewing room.
what did you get paid at the last?
Well, I got some, they saved it for me, but I can't remember.
What were they paying by the hour?
I can't remember.
Minimum
But
wages?
they give me the money and I taken it and bought that ring right there. I was rich. I think I give about $100 for it.
Well,
No, I don't know how
What
much
did you
they.
make an hour?
I don't remember. But
Was you
anyway,
making minimum wages?
I made more money than they did.
She got better pay than we did out at East Union.
'Cause I lived in a big town.
So the Rainwater sisters, tell me about. We don't know your last name yet, so tell us about the Rainwater sisters and their reputation in the mills.
We had a good reputation. We had one of the best. And everybody, thought lots of us. Everybody thought lots of us and the whole family. We were not any drunks or anything like that. There's nobody in our family was drinking because our parents didn't allow that. We didn't even play cards. Mom wouldn't let us play cards or anything of that sort. We could not play setback. And she saw a deck of cards. She found some in my brother's pocket one time when she's going to send his clothes to the dry cleaners, and she just put them in the fire. And he got looking for the cards, and they happened to be, he'd borrowed them, from somebody, but Mom had burned them. That might be my daughter calling from the hospital.
Now, you were going to tell us about control in the mill village. What happened if people started drinking, or they found that you
Well,
were
Mr.
misbehaving?
Wood, they wouldn't allow you to just be bad people. And my sister, well, after I moved to LaGrange, my baby sister, they tried to put her on a third shift. And she always wanted her way, so she wasn't working on no third shift. And so Mama, she called me. She said, come and get her and see if you can get her a job in LaGrange. So she's going to have all of us fired. So I come and got her. I went to the boss man. I told him that she was sick, and I was going to carry her to LaGrange to a doctor. And he said, they must have mighty good doctors down there. I said, well, they do. So she went home with me, and she never come back to Newland anymore. She lived in LaGrange, and now she's at Union City up there.
Well, she is high strung anyway. She didn't want to let nobody mistreat her.
But Mr. Boggs, he would have made us move made them move if she had quit, wouldn't work on the third shift. Because they was kind of like a policeman. They made you do what they said to.
They were real strict. If you didn't obey what, by the rules that they had, they would make us move off the village. They'd let us all go. And so we tried to obey the rules as best we could. But Mr. Wood, he kept everybody on, going straight. He'd patrol the streets at night, and he saw that there was no carryings on,
How would you do that?
How
would he do that?
Well, somebody told me he'd put a sheet around him, and they thought they saw a ghost going up the railroad track one night. It was Mr. Wood with a sheet wrapped around him. But he didn't let them know that he was going to do it. He did it, on the sly, I guess you'd say. He was going to just really watch, and nobody stayed on that village that didn't do the right thing. We had a good place to live. As long as he lived, we had a good place to live.
Okay. Now, is there anything that you haven't told us that you'd like to?
I can't think of
anything unless you thought of something.
No, I think you've been very, very helpful.
Well, I hope
Well,
so.
I hope we have.
That's great. You've given us a very nice picture of what it must have been like
We're
back
looking
then.
forward to see this on film
I'll
some of
leave
these
you my
days.
card, and we've got your address, and we'll let you know when it comes.
Do you think sisterhood helped get you through tough times and problems? Leaning on each other and everybody helping each other out?
I didn't understand
Do
you.
you think your sisterhood, all three
We
of you,
all stuck together.
yeah, I mean,
And
like you said,
nobody,
5 girls going down.
we never had any trouble with anybody because all of us were together, and they knew better, I guess, because we took up for one another. Nobody said anything against us.
And you had 5 brothers to look after,
Yeah,
too,
that's
didn't you?
right.
And
5 brothers.
and 6 girls.
Isn't it interesting you haven't mentioned your brothers all this time? Tell us something about your brothers.
Our brothers were older than us. There was one of the brothers that was younger than Maddie, and all the rest were older. And
He wasn't younger than me.
Matt Herman,
No, he was
Well,
older.
it's so close I thought it was. But anyway, they never lived around us much because they were older, And we always thought lots of them. We looked forward to seeing them, when
They
they
didn't
come
work
to
in the
visit.
mill. They didn't.
Not
They
that
was
there's farmers.
didn't like lint heads.
They were farmers. Most of them were.
Now Herman was a barber.
Yeah, he was a barber here in Union.
In
the
Houston,
youngest
he
boy.
was a.
He was a barber for a while in Miami. He moved to Miami, Florida, thinking work was better down there and pay and everything. So that's where he died. He lived there till he died. Raised his family there. He had a son that was a judge in Miami, and he had another son, and then he had a daughter. That's she still lives in Florida, but not in Miami. And well, I don't know.
Okay.
No, I'm getting a cutaway on the wall.
All right.
Whose picture is this on the wall here? Directly behind you, above the light switch.
Back there.
There's a family portrait.
That's my daughter.
Uh-huh.
That's
Okay.
her name's
Now,
Laura
Jamie,
Lee.
one more thing.
My daughter.
I believe these ladies have pictures of themselves when they're young. Do you have any pictures of yourself when you were young here?
This is Frances Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Gil. I
Mhm.
can't remember her first name. Gil. That was me. Maudine's on here. There's Maudine.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on here. That's Alice. She died.
Uh-huh.
You gonna carry me
Yeah.
home? I left my door so.
There I am.
Okay. All right, now, Jamie.
And that's the library.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Still,
We were right out in the street in
Yeah.
town.
when we first came in, we asked for the library, and the fellow was sending us up to that building till we
Yeah.
found the new one.
Hmm.
Let's see how that's going to work.
I don't know how old I was. Just me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Point all of you.
just a moment. Wait a minute, Jamie. We
I'm
want to
on.
get sound on this.
Oh,
Okay, why don't you just indicate which ones are who?
Which one do you want?
Just indicate.
Indicate me.
Yeah.
Indicate. Just speak to that. Name each person you know.
This is Mildred Rainwater. And that's Allie. I don't know where. I can't see it well enough.
Maybe you could sit down right here.
This is Allie. My sister Allie Rainwater.
And the
No,
dark
that's
dress.
Maddie Rainwater.
That's Maddie. Okay.
And this is Maudine Rainwater. That's Mildred Rainwater. And any of them that I know,
Where are you?
this is me right there. And that's Allie Rainwater, my sister Allie.
Mm-hmm.
This is Velma Hubbard. Velma Nix.
And the polka dot.
Yes.
And now tell me about the picture. What is the picture?
It's Sunday school class picture at East Union Baptist Church.
When do you think it was taken?
Well, I must have been about 19, I guess. 20, something like that. You subtract that from the age I am now. Is that the way you do